18th of April, and you guys know that when we have an allele that's dominant, we give it a capital letter. A recessive allele gets a lowercase letter. I always like to think of the dominant allele as the paper in a game of rock, paper, scissors. It hides the other one. So, you know how I've said that we simplify genetics for you? We kind of oversimplify stuff. You know, what kind of traits are these that we're talking about where there's a dominant and a recessive, and if you've got the dominant, it shows up? What are these called? What kind of traits? Mendelian traits. So, as it turns out, there aren't a whole lot of Mendelian traits, but there are a whole nother class of traits where we have two other patterns of inheritance, where it is not simple dominant recessive. And the first of those that we're going to talk about is what is called So these are just a couple other genetic patterns that we're going to start off talking about today. We're not going to spend a lot of time on them, but they do occasionally show up on state tests. And they are in the standard. So I want to make sure that you at least are a little bit familiar with them. The first one we're going to talk about is what's called codominance. Okay. Has anybody here ever been on a team where there was a captain? Okay. What do they call it when there are two people who are captains together? Co-captains. When you have a co-dominant trait, they are equally dominant. In other words, neither of them wins. When you have two people who are co-captains, they are splitting the work evenly, we hope. Nobody's shirking their responsibility. Because these things are equals, one does not hide the other. We use two different capital letters. Whoa, I thought we couldn't do that. Well, in simple Mendelian traits with simple dominance and recessiveness, we can't. But when you see something that is codominant, we actually use two different capital letters. Both traits end up showing up at the same time. Whoa. And the real common example of this that's used is what's called roan coloration in horses, and it also shows up in cattle. So we'll use cattle. I found a picture of cattle. Red. Who here has seen a reddish-looking cow out on a hillside? Sort of that kind of like, I don't know what you'd want to call it, chestnut. Drive up and down Route 7. Yeah, red. It's a reddish brown. I mean, it's not red. It's not like red like Madison's shirt. Madison? I'm making up names now. I do this sometimes. Not red like Sid's shirt, or not red like that, but sort of a reddish brown color. That is a red coat. And we see that color in horses and cows, dogs, Irish setters. I don't know that roan coloration exists in dogs, but you can also have genes for white coat. This is just the fur. Well, a red coat is the phenotype, and the genotype that gives you a red coat is big R, big R. It's dominant. So we have this red, big R genotype, which gives you a red coat. Well, we can also have big W genotype, and that will give you a white coat phenotype. So we might expect, darn it, So we've also got big W genotype gives you a white coat phenotype. If we were talking about a normal dominant recessive thing here, and just one of them was dominant, any offspring that got that one dominant gene would show that phenotype. But in the case of codominance, what we have is a case where both phenotypes are expressed. Has anybody ever seen an Australian shepherd where they have patches of different colors? Or calico cats? I suspect that those are also cases of codominance. I don't know that for sure. But so in this case, when we cross a pure red parent with a pure white parent, what we get are a bunch of sort of speckled offspring. Okay? and both colors will show up. Sometimes in patches, and that's what they're showing there. Dogs that are what are called merled. So merling patterns in dogs may also be an example of codominance. And the other one that you are all affected by is human blood types. Who here knows their blood type? Who here donated blood last time? Okay, it's only one. I'm surprised. Blood types are a codominant trait with 3 alleles. 3? 3. So what's your blood type? Do you know? B? Okay, I'm O. Hi, O, nice to meet you. So, the 3 alleles for human blood type are A, B, and O. For any parent, here's an egg, here's a sperm. So, for any parent, here, we'll give Mom some crazy, curly, long hair. We'll make Dad exactly like Mom, except minus the hair. Because that's how lazy I'm feeling today. If Mom's blood type is B, her actual genotype, so the phenotype would be blood type B. She could be, we don't know this, BB, or she could be BO. O basically is an absence of the other alleles. It's sort of a blank spot. If Dad is blood type A, that's his phenotype, what are the possibilities for his actual genotype for blood group?
AA or AO.
Yep, he could be AA, we don't know. He could be AO. So if we take these 2 parents and we cross them, what are the possibilities for any egg? Let's assume that Mom is BO. Let's assume that Dad is AO. Okay, so she is blood type B, he is blood type A. What are the possibilities for any egg she produces? The egg could get a what or a what? Could get a B allele, could get an O allele. So we're going to do a Punnett square. So Mom could produce a B egg or an O egg. What about all the sperm that Dad produces? What are the possibilities? A or O. Yep. So what are the possible blood types for their offspring? Whoa. There are 4 possible genotypes for their offspring. They could have a child who is an AB blood group. They could have a child who shows up as an A blood group. They could have a child who shows up as a B blood group. Or they could have somebody who is an O blood type. All of those are their own phenotypes. Okay, they're both expressed. So if you are type AB blood, you are expressing the allele for both A and B factors in the blood. Yes, no, maybe? Have you done blood types before? Blood groups in science anywhere? Okay. Back in the old days, before we worried about things like blood-borne pathogens, it was pretty common for high school biology classes to do blood typing in class. It's pretty fast. You can do rapid typing. And if you give blood, they do type your blood right there. Because you have to know what type of blood is donated so that you can know who can receive it. Okay, that's codominance. Co, together, like co-captains, both traits are expressed. This one's a little bit different. In incomplete dominance, a heterozygous individual doesn't have either option. They have some third option. So in codominance, they show both phenotypes. In incomplete dominance, they show a third phenotype. This happens in petunias, which are a kind of flower. They'll be showing up in greenhouses soon. If red is dominant to white, when you have one of each allele, what you get are pink flowers. If they were codominant, you would get flowers that were splotched with white and pink. Here you actually get a blended color, and it's called incomplete dominance. So it just means that the phenotype is some third option. Obviously with co and incomplete dominance, you can't do the kind of simple pedigrees we've been doing. Okay, so these patterns of inheritance don't lend themselves to the kind of simplifications that we've done with genetic diseases. So these are characteristics that are monogenic. What does that mean? One trait. The characteristic is controlled by a single trait, but they're not simple dominant recessive. Okay? That's where we're going to stop for today. Tomorrow we're going to talk about gene linkage, and then we're done with genetics. And we'll do some practice questions from the air test, and then we'll move on to some cellular structure stuff.